Welcome, everybody, to another podcast for Pastrami Nation, the meat of pop culture. My name is Nolan Smith, and before we get started, I want to run something by everyone. This is a different kind of podcast. This is like a rebirth of our podcast. I say that because two of our members, they moved out of state, sadly, but good for them. Jason and Dim Sum Hadi, who are mainstays at Pastrami Nation, they are now out of California. We want to wish them the best, and they'll always be a part of Pastrami Nation. We'll hear more from them, but today we have more people. We have a great topic to talk about. So first, right off the bat, I am here with co-founder of Pastrami Nation, Jason.
Hi, everybody. Jason Smith here.
And we have two awesome people here with us today. I'll give you a little background on them, and then they can introduce themselves as well. First off, we have my good friend Mychal. Mychal, I don't know if anybody went to go see that movie Rogue One. For the private screening QBC had, Mychal was the host of that. You probably hear Mychal on the radio, too. He's on Cat Country. You hear him all over the high desert. So I want to welcome Mychal to the Pastrami Nation podcast.
Hey! Hello, guys. Hello. I just want to say thank you to start off. I'm honored to be on the podcast, and I've, since I've met you, Nolan, I've gotten an opportunity to read just reviews and go to, the website and check it out. So I'm just greatly honored, and thank you for having me on this podcast.
Thank you for being here. I think we're going to have a good time today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our next guest, awesome guy. I've known him forever. Both me and my brother have known this guy forever. We bought comics off of him when we were kids. So I want to introduce you to Robert, owner of QBC Toys and More.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert. And yes, I am the owner of QBC Toys and More, and I'm looking forward to this podcast. It should be a whole lot of fun. We're going to talk about a whole lot of stuff that I think everyone listening is going to enjoy.
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first topic, it's that little movie. It's that Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Of course, all four of us had the chance to see Rogue One at the private screening for QBC Toys and More. I think I'm safe to say the consensus is, thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Big thumbs up.
Good movie.
So I want to go ahead and let's pass it around. General impressions. We'll start going with Mychal. General impressions of Rogue One.
Rogue One. Can I say it's our version of, or the Star Wars fan version of Suicide Squad? It really, really was. It's a movie of characters, unless you would. I guess there was a novel that kind of came before the movie. I'm unsure of what that was called, but I heard there was a novel that kind of gave some backstory on the movie. But this was a movie where there's a group of characters that were mentioned in the opening crawl of, as known in back in the 70s as Star Wars, before we got the title of A New Hope. In the opening crawl, it mentions what this movie's about. And to me, before I saw the movie, this was one of the most important storylines that we've never been told. Because if this doesn't happen, if they don't, spoiler alert, can we say spoilers?
Oh, absolutely, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. If they don't get the plans to the Death Star, Luke doesn't have an opportunity to go in the X-Wing and to do what he did. They don't know how to destroy it, and that Death Star just kind of blows everyone out of the water, which was the intent of the Empire. But as initial impression, before I get into everything else, it was something that I've wanted to see from the Star Wars movie since the originals. It was an amazing movie. I think it's a great movie for people that are just getting into the Star Wars franchise, and it just pays homage to us as Star Wars fans that have been around and invested so many of our years and time into these characters. We got to see characters that tied into even the prequels and into Rebels, right? Into Rebels. Yep. And so it was something that just fed to everyone's need and want for a great Star Wars movie. I loved it, top to bottom. I thought it was a great movie.
Awesome. Jason?
Very much so. Yeah, like he just said, I love that whole movie. It set up so many things for Star Wars, and there was a lot of Easter eggs in there, a lot of really cool Easter eggs that you caught on, like the whole Dr. Evazan and Walrus Man, which obviously they made it off that planet because we see them again on Tatooine. And you think none of this stuff will happen, none of the Death Star plans. But on the other side of that, if none of this happened, Jack Porkins might still be alive because he wouldn't have got shot down in his X-Wing. For those Jack Porkins fans right. All three of them. But yeah, really, really awesome movie. Just your band of misfit characters, that droid was just totally awesome. What was it?
K2SO.
K2SO, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
He, to me, stole that show. Like, when he just starts picking up stormtroopers and just, he was basically like a smart-ass C-3PO, you know? It was just totally awesome. You really didn't hate a character like, how there's always a movie where you hate the character. There's like the whiny Anakin or something like that. No, everybody kind of did their purpose. I mean, sure, Saw Gerrera's voice was kind of a little, it bothered me at times. I'm like, man, don't talk, but other than that, everybody served their purpose really well. They all did their part and ultimately paid the ultimate price for it.
And I concur. It was probably one of the best Star Wars movies. It had a totally different feel. It was, of course, darker than most Star Wars movies, but it was the perfect movie to answer all of these questions and to tie in the animated series, the prequels, the original movies. It did a fabulous job on just making it all seem far more coherent.
Yeah.
And, in terms of the acting was some of the best acting that we've seen in any Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Definitely an excellent movie.
Absolutely. And I agree with all three of you. I think it was an absolutely great movie. What I really liked about it was the depressing tone of it, because this was when Vader just helped take over, pretty much the universe. So, of course, it's going to be down in the trenches. It's going to be depressing, and people are going to die. And to me, that was it. It really felt like that's what needed to happen between episode 3 and 4. So,
to piggyback off from that, this also really established the Empire as a tyranny, as people not being able to move about freely, being oppressed, and just being a horrible time frame to live in for those people. And while A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi kind of gave you a little bit of the feel, you didn't actually see it street level. And so it was really cool to see it street level in Rogue One.
You got to see the rebels with their backs against the wall. I mean, we felt that in the original trilogy. We actually got to see it and feel the pain of, and it was a line, I forget what character said it, but if the Empire has that type of weapon and power, we don't stand a chance. We don't stand a chance. And we were talking about this earlier, Robert, as well, just here in the store, that this was kind of, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first on-screen movie we really got to see a world without Jedi. We really got to see a world without light. The only lightsaber you saw was Darth Vader. And that's not a lightsaber you want to see if you're in one cut, a Skywalker. And so I was really impressed where these are characters, like I mentioned, we didn't know, and you got attached to them. These are characters you were pulling for. And when time came where even K2SO had to sacrifice himself, and these characters knew they probably weren't going to make it out alive, they still did it, and you're rooting for them. This was a suicide mission, it really was, but it was a necessary thing, and they knew the cause was, if we don't get these plans, it's over for us. And I just thought that they really established the characters, the fear, the strength coming out of the fear very well throughout the whole movie.
And they also showed that even within the rebellion, there was kind of a darker side. Right. It wasn't all good people necessarily being in the rebellion.
When he killed that guy.
Exactly.
Well, that was a rebel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was one of their people.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was...
And that ties right into the second part I want to jump into. I want to jump into our positives and negatives of what we thought about the movie. I'm going to go ahead and take that positive because it's such an easy one to take.
Of course.
That idea that not every hero is a white knight on a white horse coming in to save the day.
Yeah.
As we saw, Andor killed that guy right in his first scene.
Yes.
And he said he will do anything for the rebellion.
Yeah.
That said a lot right there. It wasn't just we have these morals, we're these good guys, we're these Mon Mothmas of the world. You have this guy who, along with the rest of that group, they're ready to kill for what they believed in. And I felt that was such a strong positive of it. We needed to see that. Since we saw the very first picture of Rogue One, that grim photo of them in the hangar, it was all dark. We saw the whole cast. We knew that we were in for a different movie. I don't think we thought we were in for this kind of a movie.
Yes.
And I'm thrilled that we got this. That is my number one positive. If I would have to pick a negative, and I hate to pick him as the negative, it would be Grand Moff Tarkin.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Grand Moff Tarkin. And to see him in CG, at parts he felt like he was animated in like an alien. I felt like Jar Jar Binks was right there. That kind of CG.
Yeah.
So That is my only complaint about Rogue One. That's a pretty minor complaint. Other than that, I thought it was a superb movie. Mychal, positives and negatives.
Positives, just kind of what I mentioned, the strength of each character. Every one of those rebels that went in and said, you know what, Jen, we're going to go and do this with you, was a hero. I mean, nothing could have happened further for the rebellion if it wasn't for them, and they knew that. You could just tell when they have to turn on the master switch. I mean, they're running through the lines of fire. You're probably not going to make it, but maybe there's a chance that the greater cause, the end game, will happen if you give yourselves a shot. So I just loved all the characters, and of course, K2SO was just a big positive for me. I was wondering how they were going to do that, because C-3PO was the closest thing we kind of got that talked, that was kind of human-like, but he was still very robotic, and K2SO was very human-like at the same time, but he would just tell it like it is, because that's how his programming was, and I think that's what was so great about it. Mm-hmm. And I was a little worried, with how are they going to do the humor, because we saw in The Force Awakens there was humor. This obviously had a different tone. It was the rebels back against the wall. We have one more chance until there's still the plans to have a chance to survive. How is the humor going to work? And that's how they did it. I mean, they played with, when Jen had the gun and he's like, do you want to know the probability that she's going to use that against you? It's high. Very high.
Exactly. No numbers.
No numbers. It's high. That's what it is. So I enjoy things like that. And he was a big highlight for me. Oh, and I will say the highlight is we kind of got a glimpse of Darth Vader like we've never seen before. I know, and I'll let you guys get into that, but I absolutely loved it. I would love to see some type of Darth Vader. I wouldn't even say whatever movie or whatever it is. I want more Darth Vader.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, right. Who doesn't? And so the glimpse that we got, I had a feeling he wouldn't be in it a whole heck of a lot, but the moments that he was great.
That's the first time we ever saw him swing that lightsaber.
Really swing it, yes.
As opposed to him and Obi-Wan poking sticks at each
poking
other.
sticks, and he choked people, and that was pretty much the extent of what we saw of Darth Vader. The negatives, there's not too much for me, and I've seen the movie only 3 times since it came out.
Only 3 times?
Only 3, wow.
And there, there's a couple things I think at first where I was like, okay, there's a long character development, and the movie was, what was the runtime, 2 hours? But I felt it was necessary. It was necessary for those parts to tell the story, and that's why we're so connected. As far as negatives, you could say maybe the CG with those characters, but honestly, I kind of thought about it. I said, well, that is pretty darn good for what they did. I mean, even though there's even memes going on Instagram, and the lazy eye, and Jar Jar Binks says, me saying that somewhere. I thought for what it was, if you just accept, it's not going to be perfect. It's not a real human being. You could tell. But they did a pretty darn good job, and I like the fact that they brought those characters in, because I just thought we would see the back of them. So the fact that they actually showed them was great. So, I mean, you can say, I guess I can just make it on a CGI is the negative, but that's not even a big negative for me.
No, not really.
All right, Jason, what about you?
The positive for me was just seeing how dangerous the Empire really was, because they're blowing up like, multiple planets on this thing, as opposed to we just got Alderaan blowing up on the original Star Wars. And, it's just, they really, really showed you that, hey, you don't want to mess with them. It's not just, okay, we're up here. No, they can blow you up from wherever they're at, pretty much, with this new weapon that they got. And the whole Darth Vader thing, too, that really sold me, was when he's swinging that lightsaber and he basically cut that guy in half when he lifts him up.
Oh, man.
I was like, wow.
Right.
I was just, this is
Great
just
moment.
happening. This
Great
is
Darth
Vader, yeah. I haven't seen him swing a lightsaber like that since that game. Remember, what was the Force...
The Force Unleashed.
Yes.
Force Unleashed,
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the first time you really got to see Darth Vader live up to this character that he is portrayed as, as opposed to the poke sticking with Obi-Wan Kenobi, or stick poking, whatever. I'm sorry, that really bad wordage. The negative for me on that, I don't know. One of 2 things. Either that the fact that I have to wait till 1977 to see the sequel, or
that's a negative. It's a long time.
Or the fact that I didn't see it again yesterday instead of watching that Assassins movie.
Oh,
but we won't go there.
Yeah, we don't want to ruin the podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to sour the moment.
All right, Robert.
All right, so for me, the positive was from pretty much opening scene to closing scene. The entire movie was absolutely fabulous. I enjoyed every moment of it. probably being the only one out of the group of us that actually saw the original Star Wars in the theater.
Still has the ticket stub.
Yeah, so that's showing my age a little bit. But it really was. It was a complete package. And while I agree that there were moments that Grand Moff Tarkin looked a little bit too CG, the fact that they were brave enough to have him in there as much as they had Grand Moff Tarkin in there was fantastic. It brought back so many childhood memories. It just helped tie everything together. And they actually did their research. They did very little that would actually contradict the original movie. They when they were destroying the cities, it was on level 1, on a low level of the Death Star, so that the entire planet wasn't destroyed. So in Episode 4, A New Hope, when Grand Moff Tarkin says, it's time for you to see the full power of this space station, we were able to see the full power of the entire planet being disintegrated. Just little things like that was fabulous.
Yes.
And going into the negative, the only negative for me, but it was also a positive, which I'll kind of explain, was also that scene with Darth Vader. I loved seeing him go through and tear through everything. But my understanding of why in Episode 4, the lightsabers, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan both wielded the lightsaber two-handed was because originally George Lucas had stated that only a strong Jedi could even wield the lightsaber, and it had to be wielded two-handed. And so thus, the two-handed samurai fighting style.
Gotcha.
By the time Empire Strikes Back came out, and Darth Vader was able to wield it one-handed, that was supposed to be a, wow, look how powerful he is moment.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so that kind of bridges that. We were able to see the power and everything, but that was one of those things that, again, going back, and it's more of a complaint of how they changed even within the original trilogy of the power of the Jedi and the lightsaber itself.
I like that a lot. I didn't even kind of put that together. I mean, but to your point, Robert, of it really kind of just filled in the potholes of certain things that we weren't. You appreciate. I mean, I watched A New Hope with my dad later on that night after we saw Rogue One, and you were just able to appreciate, especially the first 5 minutes of A New Hope, because it really just what's the technical term? Is it 10 minutes after Rogue One?
It's supposed to be 10 minutes. Isn't
10
it?
minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And you felt that, going into hyperspace, Leia's ship, and then you see Vader kind of board the ship afterwards, and the fact that those rebels were just trying to get the plans to the next person. They knew. As soon as I saw a meme on this too, gosh darn it, social media. But I saw this meme where it says, "At this moment, when the lightsaber was ready, the rebels knew that they were done for." I mean, they really knew, because what are you gonna do? He's Darth Vader. You know who he is. They know who he is. But I just really liked how they tied the movies in that way, and I enjoy the originals that much more. If you didn't care for the episode 1, 2, and 3, the prequels, this was the prequel that you wanted to see. It really
Definitely.
really was.
I agree completely. Now, Easter eggs. I know there's Easter eggs in here, and I'm just going to leave it open to you guys to tell us, what are the Easter eggs?
Well, for me, I'm a huge Star Wars Rebels cartoon fan. It is, again, right there, right before Episode 4, bring me back to the childhood, and just the fact that Chopper and Hera was mentioned, and seeing the ghost in the final battle scene, that was fantastic. I loved just those little Easter eggs.
And I did not even know about those. So when you first told me about it, I was like, what?
Yeah.
So now I have to go watch Rebels. Because
I have not.
Yes.
Have you
I
seen
have not seen Rebels.
And you've recommended Rebels, Robert. Because
Rebels
I was asking
is
about should I finish
amazing.
Clone Wars, and you're like, Rebels. Go see Rebels. And
Lots of Easter eggs in Rebels.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the original series, if
Okay.
you're a fan of even the Clone Wars, again, that series there helps tie everything together.
Okay.
And there's rumor going around that we're going to see some characters from Rogue One in
So
Rebels.
Ooh,
Okay.
very nice.
That'd be really, really neat. Really cool.
I heard about that, yeah. Any other Easter eggs that we saw?
Well, there's the obvious Dr. Evazan Walrus Man.
And I loved that one
That was
because,
great.
again, tying in with episode 4, they had the death sentence on 12 systems.
Yeah.
Right?
So it made sense for him to be on another
One
planet.
of those
And
12
it was-
systems. Well,
it
now
was
technically
great.
that'd be 11 systems because that system got wiped out.
Yep. I thought it was cool. The Easter egg. Well, C-3PO and R2D2 to kind of make that quick little. I forget what planet I was saying. What was the last planet that they went on in Rogue One?
Not Jeddah.
Oh, no.
No, not Jeddah.
The one after that.
Scarif?
Scarif, yeah.
Yeah.
And where's those Scarif? They're going to
Yeah,
Scarif.
nobody tells me anything.
Nobody tells me anything, and I thought it was really cool. It's classic C-3PO, it's classic R2, making the noises that he makes in the robots, and I really like that. The Easter eggs that I need to go back and watch the movie for the 4th or 5th time and just write this thing down is when they're actually looking for the name of the plans of the Death Star. And obviously, I'm thinking it's Stardust. It has to be Stardust, right? But there's some names that Jen mentions before that. There was
Yes.
Black Saber was one of them, and I'm going, what is that? What does that mean? Is Mace Windu still alive? Or, you never know what those are. And so I'm interested if they're going to kind of pay homage to those in, episode 8 or whatever that may be. It could
That
just
would be
be
cool.
something fun. But I'm like, my brother and I looked at each other in the movie at the same time because it was his second time seeing it. And I'm like, what is Black Saber? What are these different names? And it could mean something, and maybe it's something in the comics in the future. We don't know. But I thought those type of little things, even though they answered a lot of questions, they also kind of threw in a couple new things for us to discover. I think that's awesome.
It's a good thing to bring up. I'm going to have to watch it again now and catch those names.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yes.
Really cool.
Now, before I'm going to throw it to everybody and see what would be your score out of 10. Before I do that, one last positive that we didn't address, and I know everybody's thinking about it, is Donnie Yen. And
Oh my gosh, he was great.
he was fantastic in there. Hands down the best fighting scenes in the movie. He just brought something very different than we're used to seeing, so I just wanted to throw that out there. Such a phenomenal character.
He was great. I'm glad you mentioned that, Nolan, because I was going to mention him. He was he was the closest thing we got to a Jedi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
He was the closest thing, and you found out he was one of the protectors of the temples. So that was really cool because we haven't really seen that in a movie before. So I thought that was really fantastic, but and at the very end, people started believing. Jen started believing, even though she had that, crystal on her neck. And it really, you can tell he was who he was. He never wavered. I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me. And when he passed away, his friend was saying that he believed again. You know what I mean? So it was very inspirational to go, even though we don't have any Jedi, the Force is still strong in these people, at least in Donnie Yen's character. And I just thought he was great. Where, he's like, the Force is with me. The Force protected me. I protected you. I thought those type of things were really great. And one more positive, sorry, Nolan, before we move on, is Jen and her father. That's the main storyline of her father, being pegged as a bad guy because he's helping with the Death Star plans, but the fact that he knew what he was doing and he was actually batting for the Rebels team the whole time, that's got to be one of the biggest, just suck it up, swallow it, and do it for the greater good. I mean, despite the characters we saw sacrifice at the very end, he sacrificed for years. His wife dying at the beginning of the movie, him not seeing his daughter for all those years, but then he got to see her, and even says, I have so much to tell you, and then he takes his last breath. But if he doesn't do that, we're not even talking about that, if he doesn't make that little thing in the Death Star to where you can destroy it, there's also no hope to destroy the thing. So I thought that relationship, and when she finds out my dad's still actually good with that hologram, that was one of the best moments for the Jen character.
I also agree with that.
Great.
You were able to feel for the characters, Jenner, so you actually did feel sorry for her. You were rooting for her, even though you knew the outcome. You were hoping that somehow, because she was a very likable character. She wasn't perfect.
No.
And that's what made her very likable.
Exactly, right? Just like you and me and everybody else, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And she fit right into that.
Very hard of the surface, and
You brought up another good point, because for years we've heard, like, was the Empire stupid? Why did they build the Death Star with this big weakness in it?
Yeah, that was another thing
It
they
tied
filled in for us.
so well into that. Completely agree.
They just filled in all of those little gaps so perfectly.
I like that they use the same imaging too. When you go and watch A New Hope and they're talking to the X-Wing squad and you're seeing the actual plans, they use the same images. I'm glad they didn't go, we got to make it modern. No, it was like, this is supposed to be believable because it's minutes before the movie you're about to see. And I love how they kept those little radar things and everything the same. I thought it was just
I loved
well
the
done.
retro look.
Yes, very
I agree.
cool.
I agree. So now if we we have to give it a grade.
Okay.
I did a review already, so I'll throw mine out there first. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. And the reason I gave it a 9.5 was really because just the Moff Tarkin part.
Okay.
It knocked off half. It's still one of the best movies of the year. Michael?
I'm gonna go a little up and say 9.7. Sorry, not to. I'm gonna up you, but the Moff Tarkin didn't bother me as much. The Leia, I've seen a side by side from her A New Hope, and then the CGI, and I'm okay with it because in my personal opinion, I just accept that. I know it's CGI, I know it's not real. We've always seen Leia in Episode 7 and how she looks now these days. I just loved the movie overall. I thought it, like Robert said, it tied in everything perfect. It was one of the best Star Wars movies we've seen.
Yes.
It's something I think we've all been kind of thirsty for, and they gave us that drink of water. That was Star Wars, what made it so special for everybody. I absolutely loved it. So 9.7.
Awesome. Jason?
Me, I'm going to go ahead and say 10 out of 10.
All right.
Just because it kept me entertained the whole time, Just every step of the way through the movie, I was really entertained, I'm like, wow, this is that. It felt like I was watching an old Star Wars movie, as opposed to, in the episodes 1, 2, and 3. I liked those, but the spaceships look more modern, and yet supposedly that's before all those. But this had the feel of a classic Star Wars film.
So 10.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say 10.
Awesome. Robert?
I'm going to go a 9.5, and that's only because probably like the teacher side of me, there's not anything that's actually perfect. If I sat back and watched it 3 or 4 more times, I can probably find some areas of more improvement. And so, yeah, a 9.5.
Great movie, though.
Great movie.
Excellent.
Outstanding movie.
Definitely one of the
Love
best movies for Star Wars.
Well, now that we are talking about movies, let's go ahead and jump into what movie are you most looking forward to in 2017? I'll go ahead and go first, and I picked a kind of an oddball movie.
Pitch Perfect, right?
Why would you steal my answer?
Hey man, Pitch Perfect 3. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
Get
It's
it
gonna
right.
be the best one. The 3 times a charm. Is Anna Kendrick in it? That's all I care about.
Sold.
For me,
Sold.
it is John Wick 2. And for those who don't know what John Wick is this little movie with Keanu Reeves about a hitman who loses everything, including his dog, and he decides to go crazy and kill everybody who was responsible for it. It's one of those movies where you check your brain at the door. If you're going in there expecting like this eye-opening, insightful thing, you're not going to get it. But if you're going for an action movie that entertains you from the beginning all the way to the end, it's John Wick. So with John Wick 2, I know sequels don't usually do very well, but I have very high hopes for it. So John Wick 2 is my movie for 2017 that I am looking forward to. Michael?
I'm scrolling through all these movies. I took some screenshots. I Googled what the 2017 movies are going to be. There's so many great ones. I'm a big Marvel fan, so obviously the Spider-Mans, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man Homecoming, I should say, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Power Rangers. Jason, we were talking about that. Power Rangers, it's interesting. Yeah. It's an interesting one.
Definitely.
They're taking liberties, with, of course, the storyline with suits and Megazords and stuff like that. I'm open. I'm going to go see it. And I think just with the names alone, that's cool. And the colors, they kept the same. There's a lot of similarities, too. I want to see if there's a Green Ranger and a White Ranger, in the future. It's movie number 1. But I hope it does well. I want to see the Justice League. And not that I didn't like Batman v Superman, I like the extended cut a lot more, and I'm excited because we've seen the Avengers on screen before. I love DC, and I want to see this movie just knock it out of the park. So I'm super excited about Justice League, and I can go on, of course, the episode 8 is going to be coming out, so that's an obvious. Of course, I'm going to go see that 4 times by night number 2. There's just a lot of great ones, and I'm excited for John Wick just because I didn't see the first one. I have to see that beforehand, but some of the directors or the choreographers that helped out with Civil War and those type of fight scenes did the first John Wick movie.
Yes.
So if it's anything like that, I'm excited for it. Yeah. And then, believe it or not, 2 movies that are Disney, Beauty and the Beast live action. I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And Cars 3. Just from the trailer, we talk about a tone that Rogue One has.
That's right.
I mean, Cars 3, it's La La Land, and if you've ever gone to California Adventure, it's a nice, happy place, but then you see this trailer and you go, something's about to change, and they kind of mention that, and I'm interested in that little bit of a darker tone in this movie. So I'm hopeful for it, so we'll see.
Yeah. Good choices.
Yeah, sorry, I know I've gone on too long, but there's a lot of great movies in 2017.
It's hard to narrow it down.
It's
I
hard.
agree. Jason?
Me, it would have to be the new King Kong. What is it? Kong Island of the Skull or something? Skull Island.
Skull Island, I think.
Yes. And just Big gorillas and dinosaurs. I mean, I've always been a dinosaur guy. I've always been a King Kong fan, so it has to be the one I look most forward to. I love all the Marvel and DC, too. I'm going to see them all multiple times, but just King Kong, that's my movie right there,
That's no surprise to me.
Yeah.
It looks good. It looks really good. It looks really good.
Robert.
And I'm really looking forward to Wonder Woman. We've long waited for a good Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
And I think that this one should hopefully be a really good movie and really help set the stage for the summer release of Justice League. And then, of course, Star Wars. I'm really looking forward to Star Wars. But those are probably the two movies I'm looking forward to the most, Wonder Woman and the new Star Wars.
And, of course, it's hard to choose because, like Michael said, there's so many movies coming out in 2017. There's movies we probably don't even know about yet, and they're being under wraps, and we'll see in November something pop out and just blow us away. But it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a really good year.
There's too many good movies that are actually coming out in 2017.
Yes.
Pitch Perfect 3, yeah.
Yeah,
I know you can't wait.
I'll be there for the midnight opening for that one.
Camping out a week in advance.
Yes.
First in line.
He already got the days off of work.
I'll be at the new Smurfs movie, so let me know how that one is.
You too?
Well, since we're talking about 2017, I thought I'd throw something out. And because of where we're at, in case you don't know, we are doing our podcast from QBC Toys and More. It's the comic book and collectible store in Victorville. It's the store that I go to the most. I know my brother makes this his store of choice of comics.
Yes.
And you find everything here.
They've got it all.
Yeah, you find action figures, books, and you find Funko Pops.
Yes.
Those things are kind of popular, yeah?
Kind of, right? Kind of popular.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
My coworkers tend to say that I have a problem. They saw my wall. I showed you my wall on Instagram the other night for the first time. They're like, okay, you have a problem. I was like, but it's a good problem because these things are amazing.
Yes.
It's very addicting, and I would be a liar if I said I didn't have any. I have plenty, and they're amazing. So with 2017, I know they've already announced a lot of their lines, but if there's one line that you would like to see made in 2017 as a Funko Pop, what would it be? For me, I'm going to say there's two lines, and they're kind of weird choices, I guess. One would be It's a Wonderful Life,
Very
Interesting.
nice.
and I'd love to see them as black and white Pops.
That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of It's a Wonderful Life. I think it's one of the best movies of all time. And every year we hit this time, and I'm like, why haven't you done it, Funko? So Funko, I'm tagging you in this podcast. Why haven't you done it? So
Comic-Con exclusive Uncle Billy Pop.
you know how much I hate Uncle Billy. And then my second line would be Nickelodeon's Hey Dude.
Yes.
Oh.
I love Hey Dude. It was the show growing up. And to get a Danny, a Mr. Ernst, and all of them, it would... Wow, that would complete any collection.
That Comic-Con exclusive Danny with the tie-dyed shirt. The guys, Danny with the tie-dyed shirt.
See? At least there's two of us that would buy them. Let's go ahead and throw it to Michael.
Oh, I'm sitting here looking at all the comics and all the choices I have, and I'm trying to figure out what pop I'd want to see. I tend, and I was when I was showing you my collection, I was thinking about it. I love a lot of Pops, and I wish I could afford all of them. I wish if I won the lottery, I'd say, Funko, give me one of each of your Pops, because they're just so well done. I mean, in these little boxes of goodness, they capture everything that is that character. They do a great job of doing that, and I tend to just grab the ones like the Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles and the things that I grew up watching and Star Wars. And I'm not really sure what I'd like to see. I wish I can give something out. I think maybe I don't know. I think we mentioned before podcast of that Kong. I know you said we're going to be getting one of those. The Kong Pop, the 6-inch would be really cool. I'm hoping for a really cool Wonder Woman Pop from the movie.
Yes.
And hoping that we would get probably a really cool Star Wars. I don't really know the storyline of Star Wars Episode 8, but if there's a new big bad in it, or if there's someone else wielding a lightsaber, I am always going to buy that Pop. So
Yes.
I don't have one in particular, but I'm looking forward to 2017 line of Pops from Funko.
Very
Awesome.
nice.
I'm a little afraid to throw this to Jason, but... Jason, what would be the line for you?
Well, it's kind of tied between two Pops. I mean,
Okay.
while we're throwing other lines, I'd like to see them do some Pops based on the Jurassic Park franchise.
That'd be cool, yeah.
That'd be awesome, but I've had these two Pops in mind that are kind of tied in my head. First one would be Javier Bardem's character from the movie No Country for Old Men was an Anton Chigurh. I think that would be a really awesome, just such a good villain, so well done, you know. It was just like one of those bad guys that you kind of rooted for, you know. As creepy as that seems, he was such a good character that I think he'd make a good Pop with just that blank stare and that little air gun that he carries around. And the other one, I wouldn't care if they made any other Marvel character if they made a cardiac Pop from the Spider-Man comics. That's like my favorite character, like Spider-Man, probably Marvel character, and yet the only toy version we have of him is a Hero Click. I'm like, really? We got, what was it, Eel? We got a Marvel version of Eel, and we don't have Cardiac yet. So give me my Cardiac Pop. I'm like, oh, man.
How did I know Cardiac was going to come up? Yeah. This is a constant discussion. Robert.
All right, so I'm going to go a little bit retro here. I'm going to mention first a movie that if any of these three actually remember or ever saw, I would be kind of surprised.
Challenge accepted.
Charlie Chaplin.
Damnation Alley.
That's the movie.
That is the movie.
Obviously, that
George
dates me as not seeing this movie.
George Peppard, post-apocalyptic. They had these wonderful, large vehicles that could actually invert their wheels the way they spin and actually burrow down in the ground. There's giant scorpions, armor-coated cockroaches.
Oh, wow.
Why have I not seen this movie?
Just absolutely fantastic movie. And
What is the name again?
Damnation Alley.
I'm looking this up.
That's just an epic
George
title, too.
Peppard.
That's kinda cool.
This is something I have to check
And
out.
there's like one scene in the movie where they open up a door of a car and there's a skeleton perfectly clean, and they're like, how is that perfectly clean? And then all of this swarm of cockroaches just come out.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a
Sounds
70s
really awesome.
70s movie.
I'm looking that up. That
And-
sounds fantastic, man.
And along that same time era, I would also like to see them do a line based on the Hammer horror movies.
Oh.
The Hammer Dracula and all of that stuff. That'd be really cool.
It seems like Funko's done that before, too. They'll go back to those type of retro.
I think
whether
the
it's
Hammer
costumes
horror-
that would be cool.
There's a chance. I could be out of the loop. Damnation Alley could be
I
right
could
around
totally
the corner.
see them doing the Damnation Alley, George Peppard figure with the vehicle as a ride.
Like a pop ride, yes.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Because the Damnation Alley vehicle is one of my favorite vehicles.
That would be awesome.
So Funko,
really
again, I'm tagging you in this. There's no way you could have thought of that idea.
Yes.
You need to listen
Who's
to
got the
Robert.
resume? This is resume. You know what? I'm sorry not to interrupt. I know which one. I play a little video game called Overwatch.
Yeah.
And that's I've grown. I'm not a big one-person shooter, first-person shooter, and that type of stuff. It's a team game, or else I would be horrible at it because I'm just not good at those games. But I love the characters, and the one pop they haven't come out yet with is Reinhardt. That's the main character that I like. I don't know if you've seen it. He's just an older guy that has fought this war in a big suit of armor, and they have a 6-inch pop already. But I would like to see that pop. So if anyone knows what Overwatch is, that's the one pop I would like to see next year.
I'm sure there's like 1, 2, or a million
One,
people
two.
that know what
Just one, two.
Overwatch
But
is.
I think that'd be cool, Robert. I mean, that's something they've
Definitely.
never gone before, and you can even tell with throwbacks or even what Star Wars Rogue One's capturing. Companies and storylines are not afraid to go back and to bring these things back because it's almost like the retro is becoming relevant again.
Yes.
And I love stuff like that, so I think it'd be cool.
So that is all we have for today. I do want to thank everybody who's listening. I see some people popping up on the live thing. That's awesome. First time we've ever done a live podcast. First time we've done a podcast at QBC Toys and More. First time we've done a podcast with Mychal and Robert. And I am just so happy for this rebirth of the podcast. You'll be seeing this on a regular basis. Thank you again, Robert, for allowing us to come to QBC Toys and More.
Well, thank you for being here. You're a valuable part of QBC.
That's just awesome right there. So, signing off, I am Nolan, joined by
Michael Fabella.
Jason.
And Robert, you can see my gray hair.
All right, everybody, take care.
Thank you.